Welcome to the Philly Connect podcast. We are back and we have some really fun people here with us today. We've got two Philly Connect members. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Ivy Okoro.
And
I am Christopher Sean Gordon.
thank you. I was about to introduce y'all as I was talking. I was like, no, let's hear them introduce yourselves. I'm going to let everyone know what we're talking about today, and then we can just jump right in. So we are digging into pop culture trends, beauty standards, and how all of these things that happen kind of in culture affect us, especially as young believers, and just what our standards are and how we're influenced by things or how we're influencing things. So again, let's just dig right in. So, and you can maybe give a little background, or as we're talking, we can, share more about yourselves, who you are, what you do, when we ask this first question, just so that people can know a little bit about who you are. But I wanted to just jump right in and talk about beauty standards and how pop culture, in particular, social media, TV shows, etc., have influenced what we find or define as beautiful or desirable. So, I mean, jump in. Either of you jump in.
Well, I mean, we're living in the year 2021. There's a lot going on. We're living in a generation of social media, of Netflix and chill, and so much. And it can definitely be like information overload, right? Every single day you wake up, you're facing some type of screen, whether it's on your cell phone, on your iPad, on your computer screen, your television, and you are definitely taking in a lot of information. And it's exciting, it's colorful, but then also it can be very misleading. It can take you down a different type of path, and if you are not discerning, it can definitely mess with your soul.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's an understatement, because I think things are far worse than we realize, especially with social media. We're going to have to really do studies, I'd say about 100 years from now, on the effects of social media has had on our generation. And so far, the effects have been all negative, because they've influenced so much of us. Like the thing about Vegas, if y'all ever been to Vegas, they turn off the clocks in the casino. So you can never know when it's either day or night, and you never know when I've been here too long.
Wow.
And it never shuts down. That's why they call it a city that never sleeps, or that's one of the names, Sin City. And time can go by so quickly. That's how the effects of social media has now become on us. We could always access it 24/7. There's never a time of day when it turns off. And so it's constantly feeding us images and information. So I think for a real sense, it has ruined us when it comes to these standards of beauty and the way our culture. That's the number one way that we're fed intel and information.
That's such a good comparison. I've never thought about that. So two things. One, you said all negative. You don't think there's any positive that has come from it? And I think, access being one of the things, connecting with people.
Right.
Are you saying that the negative outweighs the positive?
By far.
Okay.
By far. It's one of those things where when people talk about the lotto, it's like, oh, the lotto is a bad thing because it milks a lot of the minorities into losing their money. Then it's like, oh, well, but the lotto does donate a certain amount of money toward education. And it's like, okay, when you look at that little good thing, are we going to still allow for this major bad thing to happen? When it outweighs it by far. Yeah. The amount of damage that it does to us.
Yeah. And I think it overshadows sometimes the positive. But again, being, we live in this pop culture media space.
Right.
And how it has overtaken so much of our day that we don't necessarily recognize the negative impacts that it have. And one of those things, like you kind of touched on it, you said it messes with your soul. I know people are in depression and anxiety and all kinds of things because they are either knowingly or unknowingly starting to compare themselves. And I know I mentioned beauty, but this is, across the board, whether it's beauty, the things that they have, where they feel like they are in life, just by looking at other people. And you have zero idea about what that person is actually doing, where they actually are, etc. If I wanted, I could act like I'm literally on the beach in Hawaii right now like, and nobody would know, and lots of people would believe it. I could live a completely alternate fake lifestyle and nobody would know.
I do it
Who's
all the
gonna
time.
know? Oh no. No, but I do want to go back to beauty, because I know that, a lot of we're all, in our 20s, we're all, the three of us, 20s, 30s.
We up there.
And a lot of people just in Philly Connect are in that age group. But then you have the younger generation who, equally, if not more, are being molded by social media and the things that they are seeing in media. It's always been around, but the effects and the access that they have to certain things, and how, self-esteem,
Right.
Security, etc. How have you, in your own experiences, has it affected you in a way where you've looked at yourself or compared yourself in a way that you have recognized it and kind of had to pause and like redefine self, or kind of what you were thinking based on what you've been seeing? Or I guess, what role has social media played in how you as a woman, you as a man, see yourself at this stage of life?
Most definitely. Growing up as a millennial in North America,
Yep.
and this particular generation has impacted me. I would say it's impacted me on the cultural basis, being that I grew up in a home of immigrants and then trying to be more American instead of Nigerian, and not fully embracing my home culture of my family. And then also as not only a Black woman, but as a darker skinned woman, feeling as though, wow, my other sisters are fair skinned and I don't look like them, and I don't get the attention that they get. And then also growing up as someone who struggled with her weight, being plus size, being smaller at times and being larger at times, and the impressions that you feel in the room, the way that people look at you, and feeling as though you have to line yourself up in order to be so presented, so perfect, so beautiful, or, feeling as if you're worthy of even being in that space, when in reality, the element that was missing all along was that God already thinks that I'm enough. God already sees who I am. But why don't I see who I am? And so it messes with you. And I think that it's definitely one of the reasons why we always have to kind of get back to the root and the foundation of who you really are. Why do you want to look at yourself through this lens so badly and so desperately? Because yes, I'm grateful that I have that grounding and that foundation now, but I only imagine for the other individuals, for other young women, other young girls, or even young men as well too, coming up in the next generation, and how driving and desiring to be in this particular vision or perspective is actually influencing the outcome of their lives and where they may potentially go.
Yeah. How have you pulled yourself out of those situations or times where you realized you were kind of going into that downward spiral hole of, thinking of yourself in ways that you didn't need to be?
I have to literally look in the mirror and smile. And sometimes I just have to kind of grieve through it. Like, if I'm not feeling 1000%, I have to kind of come face to face with why am I feeling this way, for example, with my weight. I'm really proud of myself because recently I've lost maybe around 25 pounds or so. And I know that weight has always been a struggle and everything. And, I do get to those moments where it's like, okay, look, if this is something that you're not proud of or you feel like it's a burden, then you have to work on it. And there must be a reason why it's triggering on you, and it can't be about, wanting to impress that guy, or, trying to keep up with the other girls, the IG models or whatnot. I had to really come to the core of, okay, what is there about me that I feel as though I'm not pleased with? And if it's practical, then yes, you work on it. And I believe, especially when God is rooted in the fabric of that, then it makes it much smoother and easier. So that would be my answer to that for myself.
That's good.
Yeah, I since we all are part of that millennial generation, I think we might be like the last sane generation that existed. No, I'm serious, because like we all
some hope.
We all remember the day before the internet.
Yeah.
Right.
And when the internet was not a thing, and we were not raised with the internet, and we were not raised by the internet.
Yeah.
So as a kid, like, you were just kind of comparing yourself to like your neighbors and all that stuff like that. Nowadays, like, the standards have just switched. Like, you can be comparing yourself to somebody who lives all the way in Philadelphia, and you're all the way in Texas, and you're like, oh my gosh, you know.
Never met him.
Yeah,
Right.
and you can't verify. I mean, catfishing is a real thing, not just in the dating sphere, but people can catfish their lives and portray a life that they really
real.
don't live. Like, I
Yeah.
see people do it all the time, and especially in regards to like the standards of beauty. Like, we're part of that group where we were raised with some type of semblance of a normal life. We were raised in community. We were raised to see neighbors and culture and households and the people on your street block. Those are the persons that you really kind of stuck with that village mindset. The more and more social media has been, and internet, not just social media, but even the internet, which is a baby, which is the parent of social media, the more and more that stuff has been fed to us, the more we have been more isolated, the more part of our community and everything, we kind of associate more with this online reality than our actual reality.
Yeah,
Right.
that's real.
So real.
Yeah, so especially when it comes to standards of beauty, like, all of us have been swayed by it by some way or another, and to where we look at the images
Every
that we're being
day.
fed.
Every day.
Yeah.
Do you think men deal with it as much as women, or
No.
is it in a different way? So I'll say, like, I think women are maybe desiring to look a certain type of way, but men, is it coming across in that they desire the women that they want to be with to look a certain type of way versus them that feeling like they have to look a certain type of way?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
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 All right. My answer is like this. I think men have always kind of struggled with that, but I think the latest infectants are women. Like, you all are the latest test tubes for this type of thing, because men have always been we've always known beauty. We've always liked the pretty girl. We've always liked the
most desirable girl, or whatever is deemed as the most desirable.
Desirable.
Like when I grew
right.
up, we had Jet magazine and had the Jet Beauty of the Week, and it was like you could just flip through it and read. Oh my goodness, look at the Jet girl.
Yeah.
So those type of standard has always existed for
Okay.
men, and we've always had the pretty standard. That's been always a picture. Nowadays, women have those same type of standards to where you all now want the picturesque man, where back then, like my mom's generation, they didn't really care about looks and everything like that. Like, they didn't care if a guy had to be handsome or light skin or chocolate or beard or tall or abs and all that stuff like that. But I'm saying,
You don't think so?
No, not at all.
This is from conversations.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have, my mom is one of 7 kids, and there's 6 women and 1 boy. And when I tell you, like, they were fast. They were them fast girls, and they were out there, and they kept men round the clock, left and right. They were out there. They were in them streets.
Right.
And so I've always been raised, like, and most people in the black community, we were raised in like a matriarchy, like with the absentee of father. So I've always been around women my whole life, and I listened to them, my grandmothers, and y'all everywhere. Women are everywhere. So I've listened to y'all so much, and I listen to older, younger. Yeah, I do. Older, younger.
Did you hear us too, or you just listen?
I just listen. I try not to take in too much, cause I don't want to lose my masculinity. But when it comes down to it, like, women didn't really choose men based off the aesthetic look. I mean, I went to this community service outing about probably a month or 2 ago with this group called Philly Connect. Maybe y'all have heard of it.
Yeah.
And so
familiar.
we were on this farm, and we were chopping woods and trees. And then the country guy, he's real country. He was teaching us all about farm life and all that stuff like that. And he was walking us around the forest, and he told us this thing. He was talking about like how amazing a donkey is. And he was saying, if you raise a donkey, you put them in a cage with your dogs and your chickens and all that stuff like that, and they'll protect them. Like, if an animal's coming, a donkey can kick an animal, and they can protect even from like wild animals, and animals don't mess with donkeys. And somebody from this group called Philly Connect said, okay, wait, so what about horses? And this country guy said, well, horses are really more like just an aesthetic. They really serve not really much function on a farm. And it's like, back then, I was like, the preacher in me was like, uh-oh, I get it. I'm going to use that one.
Oh my God.
and it's like really horses really are just more an aesthetic on a farm. They really have no big functioning value. And back then, women chose donkeys. Women chose men based off their function. Is he a good man and things like that? Can he provide? Does he have a job? I mean, will he carry out the functions that I need? Mm-hmm. Our social media standard, everybody wants the Michael B. Jordan, the Russell Wilson. Yeah, and I think it's infected women more. Now women are starting to choose like guys based off aesthetic instead of function. That's why, to go to another, that's why we have like a higher amount of pregnancies and guys who are proven not to be good functioning fathers, but they're aesthetically pretty and they can create a baby, but they're not the ones who want to stick around and do all the manual labor that a donkey would do.
That's interesting. It's like we need to reprioritize what our desires are and understanding like what's motivating us to even want the things that we want at this point.
Right.
I think it takes a bit of self-reflection to really think about why we want the things that we want or how we're prioritizing the things that we want. Not just as it relates to relationships, but that spans a gamut of things in life now with social media. And it makes me think of one of your favorite people. You already know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say his
Corinne.
name. But
I'm
someone
lost.
who's been doing this like whole ranking system. Have you know what I'm talking about? Ivy actually is lost.
Kevin Samuels?
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't going to
Who's
say
that,
his name,
Ivy?
but
I mean, I've heard a lot. I don't know who he is too much, but I mean, the noise is getting louder and louder every day.
a little too loud, right? No, but there's something that, I feel like people are actually, I've talked to so many people about this, but this whole, like, it's a natural ranking that happens when it's usually women and men, or no, it's both ways?
Both ways.
Okay,
yeah.
both ways.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's something I wish would just die and that people would stop.
Do you really?
I do. Let me explain. Because all that matters at the end of the day is the person that you end up with and how they see you. Right? So
No.
does it? Yes, because I don't care. I don't care if you or him or whoever, right? People that I'm not like, I don't care where y'all are ranking me. It's nice to know that, okay, cool, people think I'm attractive or look good or whatever. But at the end of the day, does it really matter?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, why?
Why?
Okay, because the world handles you differently. Like there was actually a study done, and this was done by NBC when they talk about how pretty women receive better privileges. And they did this, how they do NBC, and they did an interview with an aesthetically attractive woman.
Right.
And have you seen it? And,
No.
and where she got the higher job offer, her interview lasted shorter, and they even gave her like a higher, just because the world responds better to pretty women.
So that study, like, they were equal in terms of the way they answered
experience,
questions.
right. But just
experience, all that stuff.
one had all the marks of like you would associate with a model, and
Got it.
she came in for an interview versus the one who did not have all those aesthetics.
Right.
And the world treats people differently. Ugly people are the most discriminated people, but we don't talk about that.
I don't even like saying that.
Right, but you don't like saying it, but here's the thing. The world that we live in, it gives a certain, if we can say what pretty people is, let's call them non-pretty, if we don't want to say ugly.
Well, that's
But aren't we
part
all,
of it.
Okay, I think you were going to say, go ahead.
I think that's part of what this whole discussion is the standard of beauty, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're defining as pretty and not pretty, you're always going to be attractive to someone, maybe not as attractive to someone else.
Exactly.
Period. Sure, there's like this kind of universal or global idea,
Correct.
European standards of what beauty is.
They're not European.
Usually that's where it stems from.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic. But when you don't fit within that, sure, like, I just lost my train of thought. But when you don't fit, feel free to.
Yeah, when you don't fit within that bubble of being aesthetically pleasing to the majority, then you kind of get tossed to the side.
Not
And
true.
so- I feel like you do.
You think you get tossed? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll use myself as an example. I have never fit into that. Like when it comes down to it, like what's that magazine that puts the most handsome man? It's like Harrison
People,
Ford
or GQ,
or Idris Elba.
Oh, yeah.
And those most attractive men, and they rank the most attractive men out there. Like nobody ever says, "Oh, Christopher is number 1 through 10 on my list," and that's fine. Because in my world and in my field, you don't have to be attractive to be effective. I mean, look at John Gray and look at Ty Tribute and stuff like that. So
don't call him out, though.
look at people in ministry who are effective, who are not necessarily attractive or on the top 10 list.
Yeah.
And I've even dated women and been in a relationship with women who always feel the need to remind me, "Oh, you're lucky I'm with you," because I usually date tall guys. I usually get chocolate guys. I usually
that's not someone you want to be with, though, right?
Exactly.
But who are they with, though?
I don't know.
Me. Exactly. They're still with me. And what I mean, they're with me while they're saying all this stuff, reminding me on how great of catches of the other guys that they were, but who are they with? Me. And here's what I'm saying. I say that to say this. Just because you don't fit that, like I've never fit into that. My brother was the pretty boy always. He always had the looks of the family. And even guys who are friends with, like they've always been more aesthetic on that. And that's fine. I've always had to find other ways to be effective. And like, thank God, like I'm still like haven't been cast aside yet to where it's like, I might not be 1 through 20 on the top things that you look for in a man. And that's cool. I found other ways to make myself effective and useful, even to ministry and life and even with people. We're not all going to be born with those genetic gifts, but we still find ways to be effective and useful in the world.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was going to say. For me, at the end of the day, you're not, I'm not, no one is going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Right.
Whether it's physical, someone has bigger boobs, someone wants a bigger booty, like whatever the case might be. There's something, right? So what it comes down to is you having the confidence in yourself and your beauty. And that's where even this conversation, what we're talking about, the standard of beauty, to shift to self-confidence in your creation. Yeah. Like there's something in the Bible that says there's no flaw in you. Like you're fearfully and wonderfully made. There's just so many things, but how many of us actually walk in that and believe it? And how much of that is deflated by the stuff that we're talking about, what we see on social media, and how men respond to a woman that looks a certain kind of way, or women respond to a man that looks a certain kind of way. But I think just for this and for what we're talking about is coming back to that place, or getting to a place of self-confidence, and how can we as young people do a better job of being more influential in the stuff that we're saying versus allowing what is influencing everybody to influence us and those around us. Does that?
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
I think that we have to really, and I think I've said it before, it's definitely foundational, right? It starts with you. It starts with you really understanding what's within you, what's special about you. Good. What has God already put within you that is impactful, that makes you smile, and I think that you have to lead with that first. And as you build on that, then you will gradually show outwardly that joy, because sometimes beauty is not about being the most aesthetically pleasing. Beauty can be the fact that you have a wonderful voice and it's a blessing to many. You have a gentle spirit, and people are always, always, always positively impacted whenever you come into the room. Beauty can be intelligence. Beauty can be just having a heart of giving and sharing and so forth. I know for a fact as a woman that, yes, I know that, and I'll admit it, sometimes looks do get you through the door first, right? But the moment that someone that is good looking just shows characteristics that are not worthy, it's a turnoff, in my opinion. Like if a gentleman, for me, like my ears are sensitive sometimes to profanity when it comes to it depends on how it's being used in the topic and everything like that. But like someone that I might think, oh, he's cute, and then he starts opens his mouth, starts saying a whole bunch of stuff. I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, you know what, let me back up there and everything and so forth. But then sometimes maybe the guy that you weren't looking at, they say something really wise. They drop some deep knowledge and you're like, oh, wow. Like, wait a minute, double take. But you know, and that's the thing. I think you have to be open to first loving yourself, and then knowing that God loves you. He made you uniquely as you are. You are so special, so worthy.
Yep.
And as you embrace that, you will start to see that flourishment in your life in other areas.
Yeah.
And
1000%.
I'm definitely a believer in, you know, your energy attracts others as well too. Like, you know, when you're going through a season where maybe you're battling a lot of things, sometimes you're not going to exude the best side of yourself.
Yeah.
But as you continue to build back on your foundation, continue to water and sow seeds into yourself and allow God to do the work, most importantly, then
that's good.
You will see that transformation gradually happening in your life. And I want to especially emphasize you know, being if you're like single, you know, that can definitely be a lot of pressure. That's definitely where that, you know, okay, this hypergamy race goes on and everything like that. And, you know, you're trying to, you know, stay trim, you know, keep up with the latest trends, you know, the waist trainers, all that stuff. Trust me, I know, or whatnot. But we can get so caught up in that, right?
Yes.
But, you know, we have to eventually just get back to the root of it, get back to laying that foundation, being confident in yourself, and allowing and always remembering that God sees something in you, even if you don't see it in yourself.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah, since you getting all spiritual and everything.
Oh my God!
I think I mean, you bringing us back center from from all where we were before. Okay. Since you laid the Reverend Evangelist Ivy, all right. I'll keep that saying going. The Bible even says that charm is deceitful and where beauty is fading or fleeting. And it's so true, you all.
Yeah.
Like, the hottest girl right now won't be the hottest girl when she's 40.
Oof.
And what you're really fighting against is like father time. I mean, that stuff comes for everybody. All of that stuff is temporary. So, like, I've learned to just really only looks, like you said, that gets you to the door. I always use the baseball illustration. Looks get you on first base,
Right.
but you still have to get to second and third and even find your way home. So many times we are great at, especially like even us as being good looking people, we can get on first base with our looks. Y'all too. I'm speaking for y'all too. I'm not speaking for me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, come on.
But that stuff only gets you so far. And there are some people, I mean, even with myself, let's say I'm a 2, since we say Kevin Samuel's ranking scale. I can be a 2. I'll be a 2. But here's what I want to be. I want to be the best 2 out there. And I want to show the world, like, here's what God can do with a 2. And
You're not a 2, but go ahead.
But gratefully, I've been able to attract, I guess you could say, hypergamy in the looks category. So I'm able to do what I do best. And I know that everything that I need, I've been put in there. Like, God has equipped me to carry out certain things. And I embrace it. I walk in it. I mean, me and Idris Elba might not ever be mistaken. Or I'm a huge Denzel fan. I mean, me and Denzel might not be twin brothers, but I'm going to make my 2 work. And because, I mean, you got to find out what you're great at.
Yeah.
And once you discover what God has placed in you and that fire, that thing that brights people up, that stuff is attractive. I mean, I'm telling you, man, if you find that spark and share it with the world, people will gravitate to you because looks are ultimately fleeting. I don't care how fine she is, she going to get old.
Real.
It's going to drop. And that man, those abs, you unless you're in the gym eating kale and doing sit-ups, them abs are going to turn to a dad bod.
Oh, no.
And so we're all basically who you're going to be stuck with is only going to be handsome for, let's say, 10 or 12, 15 years.
Let's hope not.
So,
well, some
But
people think Ronald Isley, though. You know, he kind of proved that zaddy vibe kind of came through a
have
little
you
bit.
seen Ronald Isley without a suit in a muscle shirt?
No, not
Thank
yet.
you. Yeah, them suits cover a lot.
Oh my God.
Trust me, suits cover a lot. And,
I think in your
But the vibe, you
You're-
know.
okay, yeah, the vibe is there, but that's them. He wears 3-piece suits, and trust, I wear suits. Them suits cover a lot. Trust me, they do.
put us on game.
Yes.
I think,
Yes.
I think the point though is that whoever, if you character know who you are, you're able, and you're right. Like, people are attracted to your spirit.
Yeah.
The most wanted, desired man in this world to ever walk earth, Jesus.
Yeah.
They said the scripture says he wasn't comely.
Right.
Like, and I think there was something very strategic that God did in that.
Yeah.
You couldn't no one can say, oh, we wanted him because he looked a certain type of way, because he was tall and, you know, in shape and blah, blah, blah. But it was his spirit. It was what he led with. It was his generosity. It was his grace, etc. All of those characteristics. And that's what we're supposed to, as men and women, should be wanting to, you know, go after and emulate. Of course, like taking the best care we can of ourselves and what God has given us. And that, like y'all said, that's what it is. That is enough.
Yes.
Right.
So for the twos out there,
Oh my
listen,
God.
you all
Come
can
on.
do it.
You
You
can
can
do it.
pull better chicks.
But
you can attract people, even
gosh.
as I'm speaking for all the twos, my
but no
two
one
brothers.
should think of themselves as a two.
I mean, you are what you are.
But why? No, because you're not going to be a two to the person
Person.
that you end up with. Do you get what I'm saying?
You're always
mean-
you're gonna be a 1.
I'm gonna be a 1.
No,
Yeah,
wait,
so
you're going on a one.
end up
So I'm not
Yeah.
even a 2.
Okay, no. Okay,
You
well,
took me-
A scale from 1 to 10, they're going to be a 10.
oh, got it. Well, I was thinking about like you're my
Wow.
number 1. Yeah,
I was
you
gonna
see?
say, dang.
Yeah, I was thinking
I
like
just
number
cut me
1.
half. Dang. I was being
on.
generous. I thought I was a 2. You're
No,
really a
no,
1.
like you're gonna be a number 1 in that person's eyes,
Okay.
like the best,
Yeah, that's
the number
yeah,
1.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah. I mean,
exactly.
Let me just newsflash for you ladies out here. For you ladies out here, and if even fellas, the girl you marry in her 20s or 30s, there's gonna be if y'all stay married for a good length of time and forever, like we all aspire to have, if we want to only get married once, there's always gonna be a 22-year-old. There's always
Yeah,
going to be a
someone else.
27-year-old,
7-year-old.
hotter, better looking, finer, but nobody can have and replace what you all have built. And there's always going to be a finer
Yes.
looking chick come along,
And
and
hope-
you can't fight against that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hopefully, like, whoever you're with is, you know, mindset, character is more than
Yeah.
those things.
Right.
So,
Yes.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that is what's most important.
That lasts.
That
That stuff lasts the test
Right.
of time. I'm telling you it
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, guys, I want to leave with something that I think is super special about y'all. And we're talking about these things, and you've been making jokes and whatever, but we're talking about beauty and character. I think something that's really special about Ivy. I remember when I first met you, like, your spirit is super sweet and graceful, and you are a woman of many talents. And I've just admired that about you. I'm like, Ivy's working on what and what and what? And then you still find ways to just give back. And I really love that about you. And so
Thank
outward
you.
appearance, beautiful. Inward appearance is equally beautiful. Or not appearance, y'all know what I mean. But yeah.
Thank you.
And then
So
my
sweet.
friend Chris. I don't have anything good to say. No.
That's fine. That's cool. I'm just glad y'all invited me here. Y'all gave me
love you.
a
No,
roof over
stop.
my head and a place to be a part.
Stop
Thank
it.
y'all.
I'm joking. Chris, man, I don't even know like where to start. I'm gonna say this, and I feel like I think Chris is on the outside, or what you say in public is not really who I know you to be. Like, you be saying some wild things when it comes to relationships. I'd be like, no, I think he's the opposite of what he says. Like, he would never. Some of the stuff you say, I'm like, that's just not. I think he's really nice, and he's going to
Stop telling me.
treat. I know. That's why I'm like, should I even say this? 'Cause I feel like I'm putting him on blast because he tries to like present something else. But I think any woman who ends up with you is going to be very blessed, obviously. And
Amen.
yeah, you've got like foundational stuff on point, and that your character in that sense is going to be a blessing to your to-be person, woman of God.
All lies, y'all. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. Thank you.
No, but it's always good conversation.
Yes.
I just appreciate that about you, keeping it real, and you just have like a wisdom about you that is mature and yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Corinne. And we love you so
Aw.
much. You are beautiful inside and
Thank
out.
you.
You know
You
what I'm
are you are definitely a leader amongst your generation, and you are impactful, and you're awesome. And I always
Thanks.
love running into you whenever we're out
I
and
know.
about. And then we
Whole
have like the
Foods.
best conversation. Hopefully that's our spot. I know.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. So, okay, so since you want to put me on blast, can I put
Oh
her on
Lord.
blast?
Oh, be nice.
That was supposed
Okay.
to be
Be
a
nice. No, just
one-way
kidding.
thing.
No, we're gonna get it. We're gonna do this. All right, so like y'all, everybody's all like, oh my goodness, you know that who's that Philly Connect girl? That's that Philly Connect girl, and it's like, I mean, like I said, looks only get you on first base, And usually when you meet a girl that has the looks and everything like that, she's not as friendly or nice and cool. And it's like, y'all, listen. I mean, we had this conversation even amongst the guys. It's like, yeah, she's pretty and everything, but here's the thing: she's cool too. Like, she's just a cool person to like chill with, talk to, and everything like that. And it's like, so it's not even about that other stuff. It's like, if you ever just want to meet a cool chick, she's a cool chick.
Man,
Yeah,
that means a lot.
yeah.
So sweet.
I like what this just turned into a mushy pot of mushy.
All right, enough of this stuff. Where's Kevin Samuels at? Let's get some rankings.
We're gonna do a part 2 for you. It's gonna be you and your alter ego, Kevin Samuels.
I'm bringing the glasses too. Can I
Okay,
bring
go ahead.
Okay,
you can talk to yourself back and forth.
I sure will.
Y'all stay tuned for that. This is the Philly Connect podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow if you haven't, and leave a comment. We would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Ivy, for being a part of today's podcast. We look forward to next time.